Welcome to an episode of BestowCast. The whole Shazam family didn't leave. They just camped out and they demanded. We have Kyra the Bard, other producer Paul the Barbarian, Drow Rylie.
No.
Well, that's a race. That's not a class. A drow is a dark elf.
Make me a wizard.
Ninja Drow
No,
Rylie.
make me a wizard.
Or you want to be a sorcerer?
Make me a wizard.
Wizard Rylie.
Thank you.
Wizard Drow Rylie.
No.
I have it. Warlock.
Warlock Drow Wizard Rylie Ninja. And I'm the DM, Paul. That Pantsless Producer Paul. And they're forcing me to talk about Dungeons & Dragons. Now, I know we did an episode not too terribly long ago about Dungeons & Dragons. When it came out, I don't know when this episode is released, so I can't say that. I do know that this episode did not drop during when Dungeons & Dragons came out on Blu-ray, but I have in front of me Dungeons & Dragons on Blu-ray. Kyra beat me up because I went to this by myself.
Uh-huh.
And I texted her, like, as soon as the movie was over, I was like, you gotta go see this.
And I went and saw it, like, next day, didn't I?
Yes.
Almost, yeah. That Thursday.
And then the rest of us said, Rylie?
Yeah.
Well, how did you not get in the loop? How'd you miss
She was
out?
at school when we went.
And you just didn't invite me.
Yep. Yeah.
So I just never saw it.
Well, it became easier because now Kyra drives. So I was like, I don't have to drive all the way to the other end of the earth. I don't want to give out any locations.
You can say, what, half an hour?
Yeah, half an hour. I don't have to drive a half an hour out and half an hour back. And
Yep.
Here's the box. You can look at the box. You can look at the back. Go ahead and take it in your hand. Take it in your drowish little fingers, and do some sorcery on it. And just looking at the cover. I mean, you can even read the blurb on the back if you want.
You can cast Fireball.
Yeah, no, don't cast Fireball. We still have to watch it on Blu-ray. We have it on Blu-ray, but we haven't watched it on Blu-ray yet. We still haven't even watched this yet. We have seen it in the theater, except for Rylie. Okay, all right. Have you had enough time to take it in? Okay, she's working on it. She's glaring. Stop glaring at me with your drow eyes. Your drow ninja. Drow eyes. Insert phrase here, eyes. Okay. Give me that back. With what you took in, you looked at the box, you read the blurb on the back, I assume. I don't know if you did or not, you were staring at me. What do you think the movie is about? Go ahead and give us the movie breakdown of just looking at the box art and reading the back of the box. This would be like if you were a child of the 90s and you were in Blockbuster and you had to pick a movie off of the shelf and you had to pick the movie by looking at the picture and reading the blurb, or if you were just me, just looking at the picture and going, "Hey, there's boobs and butts on this. I'm renting this."
I know where you get from.
They should put Miguel's and Blood on one. You'd be buying it in no time.
I would have double copies, one for each cheek. Anyway, so are you in the you're in the 90s now? Okay, are you there?
Okay,
are you there?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I got the bangs for it.
Yes. Okay. and you pick this up. And you're about to rent this. What do you think this movie's about?
Chris Pine bashes a dragon's head in with a banjo.
Okay, that's not entirely wrong.
It's a lute, but okay. What about these other characters? What do you think?
They're all right. Chris Pine.
All right, they're all Chris Pine. What class? What do you play enough D&D, or have you been around us?
I've never played D&D.
All right, this perfect. Perfect. What class do you think Chris Pine is by looking at the cover?
Well, wouldn't he be a bard? He's got a lute.
Okay.
Well,
right. No, he has a banjo. You said a banjo, so it's a banjo.
I find it's a banjo. It's a banjo.
Isn't it technically? He technically is a multi-class, isn't he?
Kind of.
Is he the thief?
He's
paladin in the beginning.
He's a bard thief. He's kind of a fallen paladin because yeah. Before we get too far, potential spoilers if you have not seen that, but you have been warned. Even though after I'll spoil something, I'll still say spoilers because that's just a thing. All right. So I can't remember Michelle Rodriguez, who's right next to him. And what do you think?
She has an axe.
She has an axe. So what do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't know. Is she the barbarian?
Okay. All right. I don't know the actor's name, but the character is called Simon. He's on the end. What do you think, Simon? What do you think his role is?
Well, he's got a staff.
Okay.
So, he's a wizard, warlock.
Okay, all right, very good.
Guy,
Very good.
sorcerer,
Very bad one,
magic
but-
person.
Damn, I can't cheat. There's no names on the thing here.
I just saw Chris Pine.
This guy here, this paladin. What do you think? What class do you think he is?
Well, okay. Let me guess.
I winked to everybody else because it's like I totally know what I did. I set this up.
I was kind of snickering over here.
And what do you think? You know you probably could have got it all right if you just said these all are thieves, and you probably yeah, pretty much, because they all pretty much thieves. Because it does say honor among thieves. All right, so Rylie, you get to play the role of the listener while we talk about.
Okay.
So you wanted to talk about this.
Did you do her?
No, I didn't do her, and
Okay.
I couldn't remember her name, and I was going.
We skipped the last.
She
two
was the one
people.
She was the one I was going to do the paladin joke on, but I couldn't. For whatever reason, I couldn't remember her character. Which is she's the druid.
Yeah, she's a druid.
She's the shape changing druid.
Isn't she a
Wild form.
tiefling?
Tiefling. Yes.
Tiefling?
Yes.
Yes. Simon is very much the people at our table. This whole movie is pretty much people on my D&D games. Do you feel the same? Have you? Is this the type of games? I mean, I know you've run the Rick and Morty D&D game.
I've run my own homebrew too.
But outside the Rick and Morty version, is this?
Yeah, I
totally-
mean, with a lot more chaos because one of my characters just liked to steal absolutely everything from everyone. He would use sleight of hand and steal literally everything.
What do you feel about that, Rylie?
I don't know.
You got it there. The shrug doesn't come across audio.
He's a thief.
Okay, very good.
Wow.
Good job. Okay,
Thank you.
go back to you can go back to
I'm watching
browsing.
TikTok.
Okay. Volume off, please. Look at the pretty shapes, all the colors. So yeah, back to your D&D. So I guess without spoiling it, what about the Rick and Morty version?
We never finished it completely, but it's what I've understood from it. It's really good for first-time DMs, people that are just starting out playing D&D as well.
Right.
So like if you have new players and a new DM, it's really nice. It comes with absolutely everything you need.
Pretty much holds your hand.
Yeah,
so you can just
player's
play it out there.
guide, a DM guide. You basically just read everything off of there. That's your adventure. And even the character sheets, so you don't have to go through the hassle of making the character sheets, because we all know that's a big pain in the ass.
Well, it's not so much of a pain. It just it takes a lot of time, and it's just like you're like, well. At least for me, it's like, wow, we'll just spend like a little bit of time. Everybody will create their characters, and by the end of the night, we'll be up and running. We'll play a game.
That's never how it works.
1 week later.
1 month later.
Yeah. Because you have those people, you always have a person that's undecided. They're like, oh, I want to be this. And they tell you, like,
Yes.
this is what I want to be. Here's my background. Here's my items.
They have to read the book.
Yeah.
they
And
go,
then they
I don't know what I want to be.
change it completely. Next time you see them, they're all like, oh, I don't want this character sheet anymore after you already made the character sheet.
We need to finish my character sheet.
Yeah. I have a lot of character sheets to make yet.
Did you watch many of the trailers or behind the scenes or making of? I tried to avoid most of it. So
I
that was
think I
pretty
watched
good.
like one of the mini trailers that just kind of pops up on the streaming.
I know we might have
platforms.
seen one during the Super Bowl. There might have been one
Yes.
during that or whatever. So based off of the trailer, what did you think you were getting into?
Well, at first.
Wait, Rylie first.
I don't think she ever paid attention to the trailer.
You have to do more than a shrug.
Chris Pine.
Okay.
Banjo.
Chris Pine with the band. Okay, going on.
Anyway,
Kyra's turn.
at first, I was kind of weary of the movie. I was like, I don't really know where they're going to go with this. Are they going to base it off of an actual campaign that happened, or are they just going to kind of whim it and just go balls on it, basically?
Right.
I didn't know what was going to happen.
And there was a lot of garbage going on with Hasbro at the time too.
Yes.
And Wizards of the Coast, which is owned by Hasbro, or yeah, I said that right. I thought I said that backwards. Where it's like, oh, is this just going to be a cash grab? And I was like, But I saw, and I don't know if you saw it, but I saw behind the scenes where they were interviewing the guy who directed it, and he wrote a lot of the campaigns for D&D. So he's like, oh, he's like, I think Helm's Deep. Is that no? I think Helm's Deep is from The Hobbit. The prison that they're in the opening.
Yeah.
That's from one of his campaigns. He wrote that campaign. So it's
Isn't
like,
it the same with Themberchaud?
what's that?
The dragon, Themberchaud?
Maybe.
I think you said that's from a campaign as well.
Well, he's from a campaign. I don't know if it's from that guy though. I don't know if the guy that directed it wrote that character.
Yeah.
Themberchaud is from a campaign though. He does exist in universe.
Right.
So like kind of hearing him say that, or he's like, oh, I've written the campaigns for D&D. I was kind of like more relaxed about it because it's like, oh, well, this guy
knows stuff.
Yeah. He's not only knows stuff, he's made stuff for Forgotten Realms, which is more particularly what this film is about. It's the Forgotten Realms campaign. I mean, basically D&D is about Forgotten Realms. There are the other, the rules and everything are kind of generic, but they're all Forgotten Realms, unless you go with Ravenloft, or if you go with Dragonlance,
right?
But they did say that they're considering. I guess the next one they're considering having Drizzt as a part of the party.
Ooh, yeah, because I don't remember seeing many, if at all, any rogues. I mean, he's technically a ranger, but
yeah,
I don't remember seeing any rogues at all throughout the movie, which surprised me.
Rylie, being a drow, sorcerer, ninja. What do you feel about Drizzt being in the next D&D movie? If he's in the next D&D movie,
I don't know who the that is.
Okay, moving on. I don't know. I'm kind of torn because it's like I kind of like the original stuff, even though like we just said, well, a lot of this stuff is actually from the universe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if I kind of because Drizzt was like. He was a series of novels and stuff. He's a character from novels that came from a campaign. I'm not too sure whether or not I want that character. I want more of these characters.
Yes,
I want more of those stories.
Yes.
And maybe like Drizzt being his own thing, but I don't know. I'm torn about it. So.
Like, even if we just got a Drizzt cameo, I would be honestly happy with that. Like, if he was in, like, maybe a couple scenes throughout the movie, I would be happy with that. But honestly, I like having a new party in the movie. Right.
Well, we did have an extra special cameo with the cartoon versions of Dungeons and Dragons.
We did.
So awesome. They need to make a movie because that never got a series finale, and we need to know if they ever made it home into the amusement park.
Yeah.
Because they rode the amusement park ride and were never seen from again. There's a car commercial that actually answers that question. There's a German car commercial that they actually created the ending for, and it has Venger and everything in it. Yeah, let's get that. Let's get a. Why not? Let's get the cartoon. Get the cartoon. They don't even have to live action. Just animate it.
Just animate it. Yeah.
So you guys specifically wanted to talk about Dungeons and Dragons. What do you want to talk about? Anything?
Well,
you want a chunky dragon?
Oh, I love chunky dragon.
Yes.
That was such a I was not expecting Themberchaud to be so large, and even his Funko Pop version is huge compared to regular pops.
His head's normal and his body's the bobble.
Yes, pretty much.
Rylie, what do you think about that?
Meow.
Speaking of meow,
are you sure you haven't seen this movie? Because does remind me of kind of a cat. He's kind of cat-like.
Yeah.
He can't really breathe fire.
I really want to know the stats on that dragon as well, because
I'm sure they exist. We have to look them up. I like the graveyard scene and how that kind of played out. And
right.
Even played out all the way out to the end credits.
All the way to the end. Yep.
You can't leave them with unanswered questions. You can't.
That poor dead soul.
And then the fact that the story's spread across 3 different people, and it's I don't know. I was taking a bath and I just slipped and broke my neck. I don't. See, now I haven't seen it since the theater. We haven't watched the Blu-ray, so I don't know. Hopefully, that's a proper. I think that's a proper analogy of what it is.
Yeah. I did like how they brought an original creature through the maze. That was an original creature from, I think it was 1 to 2.5-ish edition in D&D.
Which creature?
What's the name of that?
You talking about
the cat, the Black
Displacer
Panther.
Beast?
Displacer Beast, that's it, yeah. I couldn't think of its name. But I like how they brought an actual original into it, and the Mimic as well.
Okay. Mimic.
There was
The
the slime,
gelatinous
the
cube.
gelatinous cube. Yep. So they brought like a lot of original stuff. They didn't kind of just because I was scared they were gonna make brand new creatures for this that aren't in D&D.
I'm glad from the trailer. So the one thing that I saw in the trailer that pissed me off is like they're escaping the displacer beast and they jump into the gelatinous cube and I'm like, bullshit! You can't do that. But it is kind of explained fairly well of how you can kind of get away with it.
Right.
It's more the character, the actress, the tiefling that I can't remember her name. God, I should remember her name, but I don't remember her name. Yeah, but it has to deal with her and her wild shape, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a wild shape. But yeah, overall, wasn't disappointed with it. It actually came out much better than I was expecting. I went into the theater and I was kind of scared, like crossing my fingers, crossing my toes, hoping that we're gonna get some nice content out of this from that's actually true to D&D.
Well, going back to like the parent company, the thing that I was afraid of is that we had how many Transformer films that are out now, and to me, I don't know, I don't understand how they make money because they're just blah.
Yeah.
You know, Optimus Prime is supposed to be the beacon of hope, and when he's yelling, "I'll kill you!" in every single movie, it's not really true to that character. But for so I'm not a fan of like the Transformers movies. The G.I. Joe movies have been, especially when you get to like Snake Eyes. Hey Rylie, what did you think of Snake Eyes?
I like Snake Eyes.
You liked Snake Eyes, the movie? Not the character, the movie.
Oh, no.
Movie. Welcome back. I was on the fence with Dungeons and Dragons where it's like, okay, they don't really handle their IPs all that very well. And Transformers to me is just a cash grab. So it's just like, is this movie just going to be a cash grab?
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if this does well because,
Wizards
Wizards
do
of the
well.
Coast. Yeah, it
It
did do well. Like if the second one, maybe a third one. It all depends on what they do with this from here on out.
Well, as long as they don't do the cash grab thing from here on
Yes.
out
Yes.
to do
and they actually make it good and
I mean,
put
I have
time
to-
into it.
Yeah, and I don't know. Like, hopefully they don't do the cash grabby thing. Hopefully they don't do, if they do Drizzt or some of the other Forgotten Realms characters. I mean, I want Mince and Boo.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah.
I would. As long as they do them well and not really. And the thing is there's not. I mean, I guess it's kind of more of a niche kind of thing. So I don't think they can really. Can they really screw them up?
Yeah. Yeah.
Could they really? I mean, I guess with like maybe Mince and Boo, maybe with Drizzt and stuff, they could potentially screw them up, but. I don't know. Is the fan base to this like too niche? I mean, is it smaller than the comic book superhero fandom or any of the other fandoms? I don't know. Hard to say.
And did you notice in the movie how they kind of implied like critical fails and critical roles?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like when they're sneaking into the castle near the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And
I know the scene. Go ahead and describe it.
Yeah, they're sneaking into the castle and what's his name?
Simon?
Which one? Yeah.
The Sorcerer Simon. That's the only one I can remember.
Yeah, Simon.
By name.
He's projecting the
Chris Pine's
with his
image.
banjo. Yes.
Yes.
Singing a song to the guards to distract the guards to sneak in. But he gets his foot stuck. And then the vision,
illusion.
the illusion kind of like starts distorting and he starts stuttering like a record that's broken.
This is what happens when AI starts doing computer generated images in a movie.
Yeah.
I think everything wrong with is or might be Honest Trailers that kind of made that joke.
But
so
it
I'll
kind
give
of
him credit.
implies like a
fail.
lower
well,
roll.
Simon is a failure anyway.
Yeah.
He's not a good sorcerer to begin with.
It gets better.
He gets
He
better.
does get
He's
better.
destined. I mean, he has a destiny. So
Right.
I mean, they all every single one of those characters advance. They have their flaws in the beginning and then they advance. And I don't know, does it necessarily everybody gets an answer or if there's still enough meat on that bone for a sequel or whatever to wrap it up or to
Keep going with
keep
it.
going
yeah.
with it. I don't know how much of this that you heard. I know we live in a day and age where everybody's like, however, and I hate this word. I apologize. I apologize, Rylie, for using this word. Can you forgive me for using this word?
I don't know what the word is yet.
You find
Woke.
out.
No.
I'm gonna have to use it anyway because I have to prove my point, and I hate that everything's woke, and I just hate the whole like. I guess it was kind of the misogynist view, where, I can't remember. I can't remember her real name or her character's name.
The barbarian.
The barbarian. Oh, come on, Fast and Furious. I can't think of her name.
Please hold the line.
Michelle Rodriguez. They were kind of doing the whole thing where it was like, oh well, we have to make the women stronger, and they need no man, and they make Michelle Rodriguez like this powerhouse and stuff, and Chris Pine's this weakling, and he can't do, they have to dumb down the male characters, and I was like, I don't get any of that at all from any of this. She's a barbarian. She's acting her class in that movie, and he's a paladin thief. Bard slash whatever.
Yeah.
And he's totally into his roles. Like, he's not the one that's going to be jumping into battles. He's going to be the quick-witted, he's the silver-tongued
Yes.
individual.
Yeah.
Did you get any of that, or what's your thoughts on that? If you process it, think about that.
Well, yeah, I do agree with you. Like, those two were pretty into their roles. I mean, honestly, the bard, Chris Pine, he could have been a little bit more in character. Like, I think personally they should have explained a little bit more on why exactly he did break his oath. Like, I do get why.
Well, he broke his oath because his stealing was he's the one that started the whole.
He started stealing. Yeah.
He stole from the was it the Red Wizards?
Yes.
Yeah. But I think there should be a little more motivation behind, like, why did he start stealing it? Because it never really gave you much.
He wanted more money for his family to help take care of them, and
because I think
Give him a better
it's
life.
kind of said in the beginning where it's like he like as a bard or as a paladin he wasn't necessarily a paladin, he was kind of like a king's guardsman or something like that.
Something like that.
Where like they paid but they didn't pay enough, or they didn't pay well.
Okay.
And the temptation of thievery, it was there when he walked. You see him walking down the hall and he's looking at the money or the bloodstone or something. He was looking at something,
Yeah.
and his story. What kind of sucks about his story is like his story is about bringing his wife back. He's doing this quest to bring his wife back. But the reason that this is all happening is basically his fault. Like,
Yes.
he did this.
Yes, because he wanted the stone of rejuvenation, I think it was.
Yes.
Something like that.
But in the end, it was, and then he's like, screw you, Dungeons and Dragons, for making me cry at the end, where it's like, Michelle Rodriguez's character was more a parent, more to the child
yeah.
than anything. This whole quest was more. He had his family in front of him, I guess I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Right. And he kind of like talked everyone else into going to do it with him, but we don't really have a motivation as to why they really joined him in the first place.
He's a smooth talker. He's
Yeah,
smooth.
yeah. I mean, it's persuasion. It's pretty obvious there. He's a bard.
He's a bard, and he's rolling natural 20s constantly
Right.
on his persuasion rolls. Although I don't think you can get natural 20s or natural 1s on those kind of checks.
I guess it depends on the DM.
But
Yeah.
I think in the rule books you're not allowed critical hits and misses on those kind of.
Right. So it's just it happens or it doesn't happen, pretty much.
You either do it or you don't.
Yes.
I like the fact that we get to see a Dragonborn, and we get
Griffin. There was a Griffin.
Is that the Griffin? I don't think I have a real name.
Or is it a
They're
harpy?
bird
like a
type.
harpy?
They have bird heads. The bird people. Bird man.
Yeah, the Dragonborns looked really cool in this movie, though.
They're pretty good.
I
Pretty
liked
good
how they
for
looked.
CGI.
Yeah, and the Griffin in the beginning, or the harpy, or whatever it's called, that was actually a mask. That was not CGI'd. I
Okay.
saw it on. I
Might be
scrolled
a
Facebook and saw it was a real mask that they made for it.
It might be a mask with CGI enhancements.
Effects, yeah.
With maybe
yeah.
like eye blinks or a little bit of mouth
I think the mouth
tweaking or something like
moved,
that.
the tongue moved, and I think the eyes blinked and moved around, but for like it was kind of choppy from what I saw.
Yeah.
So they probably used CGI
Smooth
to
it
make
out.
it a little
a
more
little bit
smooth.
of tweening and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but that was a cool effect that I saw. I'm like, hey, it's not all CGI then. Some of these might actually be masks. Some might obviously enhanced,
Right.
but it might not all just be fake. That's basically what I'm trying to say about it.
I was gonna say, like I think like even the skeletons, the other people that they were digging up for the grave, I don't think they were all CGI too. I think they were physically there.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm gonna just do the typical YouTuber thing, and if I'm wrong, I'm just gonna state it as fact and move on. So Rylie, now that everything was spoiled for you, what do you think? Would you want to see this movie?
Chris Pine.
And if we accidentally played Star Trek instead of this, would that be acceptable?
Yeah.
Would it be acceptable if we watched Star Trek 1 or Star Trek the second one, Into the Darkness? I think is that the second one? Into the Spider-Verse, isn't that the sequel? The one with
What?
Doctor Strange. I think it's Into the Darkness is the second Star Trek, isn't it?
Something like that.
I am so lost.
She said Chris Pine.
and
Chris
then
Pine
there's
is
a
in
third
Star Trek, and then the second one has Benedict Cumberbatch, which is Riley's favorite person in the world.
Then there is a third one.
I'm with
And there's
it
a third
now.
one. Third one is, I think, Star Trek Beyond. I think Into the
Yeah.
Darkness is the second one. Because I think they got rid of the numbering.
My brain's tired from the movie earlier.
See, I mean, it ties in the sequel. The
Poor
sequel
thing.
is Star Trek, then it's Star Trek Into the Spider-Verse, and then it's Star Trek Beyond the Spider-Verse. See? It all comes back around to a podcast that we did weeks ago, air quote, not 30 minutes ago. Closing thoughts, final thoughts.
Buy it.
Buy it. If you haven't seen, I would say, totally see it. If you're into the fantasy, fantasy is like sorely lacking, and in a world where anything and everything is just remakes and sequels, and everything's off an existing IP. I know like Dungeons and Dragons is an existing IP, but it's a neglected IP.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of worth your watch.
What I would
I
like
probably
to see
I probably
from
said that several weeks ago in
Yeah.
the original episode, but
What I would like to see from them, honestly, this is just my personal take, because it is a Wizards of the Coast production technically, I would like to see a Magic, the Gathering movie that kind of evolves around the Planeswalkers.
and
They
tells
have
you-
a lot of story that
there is
people
story
don't
to
realize.
There is story to Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
And each expansion is add on to the story. It's actually they're doing that with G.I. Joe now.
Are they?
Every new wave expands onto the story, and they're just adding on to it. And the shame of it is just like we need a cartoon that actually
Yes.
explains this, or comic books or something, because not everybody's going to listen to Lenny explain the
Yes.
background or read the back of the boxes and assemble like what everything is. But there with each new wave or each new year of G.I. Joe, they're expanding that story. So they're kind of doing that similar to Wizards of the Coast, which is
Yeah.
kind of cool, where it's like, well, we don't get the real American hero story or Renegades or whatever. We actually get a more modern take on the Joes and why they look different. There's reasons that we get like the original. Again, great story for a Dungeons and Dragons podcast, but like Outback. I don't know if I'll probably have to show it to you after the show. But there's two different. They're of course they like their variants. There's the original Outback that has the orange hair and has the survival T-shirt,
Right.
and then they put out the Tiger Force version where he has the orange shirt with the tiger on it. But they aged him. They gave him gray. They gave him gray hair. They gave him crow's feet. They gave him wrinkles because this is not this. This is Outback, but this is Outback 20, 30, 40 years.
Right.
And there's a story to him, to his that he's continuing his adventures. But back to Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering. You want more Magic the Gathering?
Yeah, I would
more
love to see
sequels.
more content with that, because not everyone, like you said, not everyone follows the cards every set that comes out, because that gets pricey. They launch them way too quick together.
Well,
So
that's a Hasbro problem.
Yes.
That's another thing that followed this movie. I would like to see stuff that has that is an established IP. I would like to see them finally, and they've been promising doing this forever and ever. We got an animated version that was kind of but I would like to see, and I forgot the name of it. Hold, please.
Please hold the line.
I got it. I'd like to see a Dragonlance. I'd like to see them do Dragonlance. I would like to see a Ravenloft. And maybe a Baldur's Gate, which this kind of takes place around Baldur's Gate.
Yes.
But I would like to see like some stuff with Baldur's Gate. I'd like to see some stuff about Strahd in the Ravenloft series, and I'd like to see them do the freaking the Dragonlance story, because the Dragonlance story is. Yeah, people go nuts about freaking about Lord of the Rings about Lord of the Rings, and it's like Dragonlance was like our Lord of the Rings when I was a kid. And it's like that those series of books were never done any justice, and they try to sequelize and continue it, but like after the core series, there's not really much to it after that.
Right.
Once the second age, I don't think there's much to the second age, or actually I think it's the fifth age. But they need to do that, and the cartoon. They need to either reboot the cartoon or finish the damn story, or they don't like, again, they could do an animated version of the cartoon. I don't care.
Yeah.
Animate it like Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential that they can do with this. All those realms, they can give them traveling, or maybe do not a spin-off, but give us a new party for each realm that they do. Do maybe 2, 3 do 2 or 3 movies in each realm, and then maybe change it up a little bit, or maybe a TV series or something.
I'm actually surprised that this is Paramount. Well, sure, I guess Paramount does all I guess Paramount does a lot of the Hasbro licensing, because I think Joe's and Transformers are Paramount as well. I was thinking, because I think Warner Brothers used to own the TSR. Because I'm pretty sure that the other one, the other Dungeons & Dragons movie was, because I was like, oh well, they could just drop that all on HBO Max and everything, because that's all Warner Brothers. But it's like, no, it's all Paramount now.
Paramount,
so I guess you have to have Paramount Plus, because they just do like a Paramount Plus. Beavis and Butthead does Dungeons and Dragons.
That would be awesome.
Yes.
We need that collaboration there.
And they're playing the Rick and Morty campaign.
Even better.
So Rylie, what do you have to say about this now?
Banjo.
Oh, that's a good idea. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Yo, Banjo!
You scared your cat.
So stupid.